Here.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
Support.
Motion made by Tom, support by Scott. All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Motion made by Tom, support by Scott. All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I would like to also add a special thank you there for, as you can see, the many resignation or / retirements that are taking place. Many great staff members that have put in many years here in the district. Obviously, with the teaching incentive that we did offer, you can see those in there along with some other staff as well as we're doing our planning for next year. So special thank you to them and all the hard work, and you'll hear more about them as we fill out the remainder of the year.
Okay. Item 6 is a public comment portion of the meeting.
There was none outside on the sign-in sheet.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on then. Item 7 is reports.
All right, first we have principal meaningful minutes.
Just keep it up.
Keep it going. Let's see. Students worked hard on the SAT March Madness competition to prepare for SAT and PSAT tests this Wednesday, April 13th. We had our competition going on. Top workers earned prizes in our friendly competition. Many of the students answered over hundreds of questions and spent many hours on Khan Academy, including our top 2 winners. JC Aragati spent over 41 hours and answered 2,888 questions. And Aubrey Miziora spent over 100 hours on Khan Academy in the month of March and answered over 6,000 questions. Let's hope that pays off this Wednesday. Speaking of testing, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will take College Board tests this Wednesday, either the SAT or PSAT, depending on their grade. 11th graders will also test on Thursday and Friday with ACT Work Keys and M-STEP. Also in March, staff and students enjoyed a bracket-style dodgeball tournament that we spread over 3 weeks during our seminar times, with winners advancing each round and culminating in a championship competition the day before spring break. Unlike Duke, Mrs. Maddish's seminar was able to send her off into retirement with a championship. During our early release, one of the weeks in March, we brought in Health West to train our high school teachers and some middle school teachers in QPR to detect and respond to anyone emitting suicide tendencies or suicide signs. Kind of important this day and age. Also during March, when we had our full day PD, we brought in Dave Erickson, trained the MHS teachers in CPI for verbal de-escalation and crisis intervention to provide the best possible care, welfare, safety, and security for any individuals presenting signs of crisis behaviors. Probably also good for us at this day and age. It seems to be more needed. Spring sports are up and running. We have 16 scheduled contests this week. We'll see how rain impacts those. And on a different note, graduation is only 5 weeks from Friday. Mark your calendars. Holy smokes, that's coming fast.
Thank you. NBC?
All right, a number of things to update here at NBC. Testing is starting this week, so all our state testing is up and going. That'll be a lot of work running around for our 8th graders this week. They got PSAT, and then next week they do M-STEP. And then 2 weeks after that, we have 6th and 7th grade math and science M-STEP. So we'll get all that testing done in April and out of the way. Track is underway. Got like 80-some kids at track again. About a third of the school is running track, so that's great to see all of them taking part in those extracurricular activities. A couple of other things we have going on with our students. The White Lake Climate Action Task Force is a group between the Montague, the city of Montague and Whitehall. They both passed resolutions to do things to help with climate change in the area. So we have a group of students who's actually taking part in a student leadership aspect of that. So Mary Creasel is coming in and working with students every other week. They have decided to take on a couple of things here. They are collecting number 2 plastics. There's a drive going on that Padnos is going to pay them by the pound for all the number 2 plastics that they collect. So if you have any number 2 plastics, send it with your kid over to NBC. We'll recycle those. And then they're putting them in grade levels. The winning grade level is going to win a beach cleanup. And that's actually surprisingly motivating because they get a couple of hours out of school in the spring at the beach. So we have that going on. They want to raise that money, and they actually want to buy seedlings that they want to plant here on Earth Day, May 7th, some white pine seedlings. So I'll talk to you guys about that a little later. They want to plant some on campus. I want to make sure I get your approval for that. We're planning Camp Wildcat again. That'll go on this summer, starting right after school. So that'll be our summer school, but we try and make that fun and inviting for all of our kids to come. So we got planning underway for that. We have lots of new PBIS stuff going. This is the time behavior spike, so we got a lot of new things we're trying. So Mr. Berube, and you'll meet, if you haven't met him yet, that's the dean you guys approved in January. He's got lots of great ideas going on. We've done pizza raffles at lunch. We've got, you can put in tickets to play your certain songs and music at lunch. Today he was a personal assistant for Kylie Huey for 30 minutes in class because she won that with her tickets. So we got lots of ideas going on that for ways for kids to turn in those boo tickets when they're showing positive behaviors. We have a Build to Fly program is happening again. I don't know if you saw the Facebook post that were around. The EAA posted an article written by Annie Jensen. She took part in that last program that we had where they built a model airplane and learned to fly it. That program is going to start here in the next couple weeks. We got another plane coming in. That's a partnership through the EAA and the Fremont chapter who gets that for us. And we have volunteers coming in to work with kids after school in a couple weeks to start building that and doing that once again. I can't remember if I was here last time to update you on the pie to the face. The teachers took pies to the face. Did I tell you about that on Pie Day? Kids could pay money for tickets to pie a teacher in the face. They could pay $20 for a golden ticket to be guaranteed that they got a pie in the face. Officer Johnson came in and took some pies in the face as well. They raised $840, which we donated to the Plunketts for some of the expenses that they have dealing with the care for Michaela. Lastly, we are in the midst of planning the aviation camp once again. We did that a couple years ago out at the Muskegon County Airport with middle school kids. So this again is a combination where the planning is taking place between our middle school here at NBC and Orchard View Middle School are taking the lead on that. So our kids are going to get first crack at having the 25 slots there. We're meeting again with the airport on Monday the 18th to get that program up and going. There will be a small fee this year, but it's be a 5-day camp, 8 to noon for kids to go out. They will have a chance to experience all sorts of careers in the aviation industry. Each day they go out will be a different focus. One would be like Coast Guard military, commercial pilots, maintenance, and then we have one on just innovative engineering that happens in these industries within aviation. So that'll be another opportunity for our kids the first week of August.
Thank you. RO.
This is meaningful 1 minute, right? I do have a few things just to talk about at RRO. We got back today from spring break, and there was a beautiful new piece of equipment on the playground. Shelby Road Baptist Church donated a wheelchair swing for our handicapped students, and that was installed, and the students did enjoy that today. We were excited to see that. Mr. E, for the 4th year now, has raised salmon. There was 1 year where it didn't turn out so well because the pump got unplugged over spring break, but him and his students will be going down to the channel, the Veterans Memorial there by the fishing bridge, and releasing 120 salmon on the 29th, so they're excited to do that. They raise them from just eggs, and we have 129 fish to release, so they're excited to do that. Our 2nd grade is going to Blandford Nature Center next week as a field trip where they learn about ecosystems and plants. They'll be dissecting plants, so they're excited to be able to do that again, take field trips. And then I pulled up some of our Swiss data as well because we're doing a lot of different things to encourage positive behavior. We've had drawings for book bins, book prizes, and just different things. And looking at 1920 year, where we ended in March, we had 875 write-ups. This year, we're down to 533. In 2018-19, for the whole year, we had 1,355. So it's dramatically reducing our behaviors from majors and minors, and we're just glad to see that. We know we had a banner year kind of in COVID because they were spread out at recess and different things, so I kind of took that off the table, but behaviors seem to be going down. We've been doing PBIS for a lot of years, and we're seeing some of the fruits of those things, so it's exciting to see. Thank you.
Right. Well, at the MAC, the day before spring break, our kindergartners planted pole beans, bush beans, and lettuce under grow lights that were purchased as part of Mr. Gorman's grant last year. And they were so delighted to come in and see that their beans and lettuce had sprouted over the break, and they want to go plant them into our galvanized rings today. And we had to explain that it needs to warm up just a tad, but they are super excited. Our only fear is that they may be overwatered because they all want their turn to water the plants. It's pretty cool. We also are partnering with FFA on Friday for a bunny trail. I think I've told you before that FFA has been so good to the MAC kids. They really make our holiday special, so they are going to come again and decorate the cross-country trail that runs alongside the MAC, and they have been just awesome at kind of contacting me and finding out what are the kids working on. Right now we're working on Tricky Teens a lot, and so they'll be finding Easter-themed items that they hide and the kids will search for it, and they'll be counting them, the 12, 13, 14, those tricky numbers, so they'll try and record those numbers after counting them, and it's just a lot of fun for the kids. So that will be Friday. And then I did want to share also that the elementary building and the ISD is partnering in an early literacy coach position. And I didn't know if you were aware of that, or maybe you were, but it's nice for us to bring it up again. Our own Erin Hedrick was hired at the ISD as a literacy coach. And she now comes back to early school and works with our teachers. The focus was K-3, but she also is very able to work with our 4th and 5th grade teachers. Typically, they find an area of focus they would like to do. They work in mini cycles of 6 to 8 weeks, and their goal usually is set by looking at student data, identifying an area that they think needs some improvement in their classroom, or it may be something that the teacher feels like they could personally improve on instructional-wise. They set some goals, they do some co-planning, there's modeling and observing, and some feedback with the teacher, and at the end they do some sort of assessment to find out how did that impact student achievement in the classroom. And then teachers work on their own, and Erin checks back with them periodically just to see how that goal is moving forward so that they don't lose their target. We've had some really big successes so far this year. I think our biggest area is small group instruction. Erin's worked with several teachers on implementing small group reading instruction in their classroom, and also student engagement and motivation during writing. That seems to be a troublesome time for students, and they tend to shut down, so that's been a big area of, I guess, celebration in the building. That's it for the MAC.
Thank you. All right, that moves on to superintendent comments. Just a quick legislative update. I didn't get it in the Friday updates, on the last Friday update, but the budget, it is looking like the House budget will advance their budget proposal the week of April 25th. Priorities are expected to be covered, that many of the priorities that have been in the governor's bill as well. Foundation allowance increase, special education, MIPSR dollars, along with teacher attraction, fellowship, mental health funding, and flexibility. The revenue collections continue to be strong and are outpacing projections from the January CREC, so the revenue estimating conference. This will yield a positive May estimation conference in May upcoming, which will allow them to hopefully increase spending on the budget as well. As far as some of the Muskegon County budget requests that have been put in amongst the different districts, we continue to work with Senator Bumstead on increasing equalization funding for special education and the career tech education. These categoricals have been relatively flat for some time, and increasing them would definitely benefit Muskegon County districts. As far as the CTE side, we're also pushing to get extra dollars to the local districts for CTE equipment and local programs, which does include us and is quite advantageous to us in that work. As a district, we are continuing to move forward with next year's planning. We had an administrative team meeting prior to spring break. We'll have another one this week looking at some of the retirements or resignations that have taken place here within the district, looking at numbers, student counts, class sizes, budgets as we move forward here. So lots of planning towards the next year. We have had some positive feedback thus far on some of the postings. Already getting some of number one, getting the postings out nice and early, but getting some applicants as well early, which is definitely beneficial to us as a district. Just an update, if you have not heard already, Muskegon Area ISD Superintendent John Severson is retiring. He is going to be the director of MAISA director, so that will have an opening there. There is a posting that is up. They're looking at a quick timeline on that. Quick turnaround for that position. Also a reminder, MAISD Special Education Millage is going to be on the ballot May 3rd, 2022. You will see around the district, we'll be starting to put up some, just some informational things, and I'll be sharing that to the board as well. But, you know, some of the focal points would be last year, Montague Area Public Schools spent $1.12 million of general fund dollars to unfunded special education mandates that took place here within the district, so those dollars would help those general ed costs. Remember, this is a 1.75 millage increase on the ballot. There is some information that's gone out by some individuals throughout the county on large numbers associated to homeowners, but if approved, the average homeowner in Montague would pay $139 per year, an increase of $139 per year. This would return as a $408 per student for the next 10 years. That would equate to $559,000 per year. Their slogan at the MASD is Strong Schools. If approved, the homeowner of a $200,000 home, that would be a $100,000 assessed value, would pay $175 more each year for 10 years. So at $200,000, you're looking at a $175 increase on that 1.75. And that is it for superintendent comments.
Okay, thank you. Item 8 is new business. We have a motion to approve food service attending an out-of-state school nutrition association national conference.
So moved. Support.
Motion made by Scott, support by Blair.
Blair. I mean, either or said it.
Okay. All right, discussion?
So this is, you saw the conference travel request form filled out by Dan Gorman along with Caitlin Sutton here within the food service. It is out of state down in Orlando. This is the national conference for the School Nutrition Association. This would come out of the fund balance, not general fund dollars associated with the work that Dan does as far as the food service work that he not only does in the region but across the state and country as well.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B is a motion to approve the ag science teachers attending an out-of-state national ag conference in the national ag in the classroom conference.
Support.
Motion made by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion?
So this is another national conference that Kate Firestein and Sherry Lemon would be attending. This is out of the CTE dollars, special value-added dollars that they use within this. This is in Saratoga Springs, New York, that they will be working with a focus on providing aged opportunities to students in grades K through 5.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C is a motion to approve the band choir overnight field trip to Ohio and Detroit, May 27th through the 29th.
Support.
Motion made by Tom, support by Scott. Discussion?
So this is a field trip that I believe the band took quite a few years ago, somewhere in the last 7 years that I've been here. But the choir is added with this as well. This is put forward by Scott Emmeliner and Emma Greenwood. They anticipate 77 students, along with the 2 teachers. You see in there they did have a number of chaperones as well that will be vetted in that process. Going to Cleveland and Detroit area, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the idea that they kind of the focal point or area. They will also visit the Cleveland Museum of Art, Cedar Point, and a Detroit Tigers baseball game.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, for item D, we're going to need to look at the application for exact wording here.
So the idea would be the highlighted portion. We would need a motion reading that for the approval.
So whoever wants to make that motion, wants to read that, please.
Does it have to be read out loud? Could it be the highlighted portion within your sheet?
I couldn't even hear
Yeah.
we can't hear what's going on.
Sorry.
So.
He made a motion, but not to read it out loud. All right, go ahead,
Do we
Tom.
need to read all 5 points?
We need to read all 5 points, correct?
Make a motion for the application for preliminary qualification of bonds. 1, receive to apply for preliminary qualification of bonds by the state treasurer for the purpose of financing the school construction description in this application. 2, that said application is presented to the state treasurer for action prior to the official action of the Board of Education calling the election on said bond issue. 3, resolve that this Board of Education will present a final qualification application to the state treasurer for qualification of their bonds after the bond issue has been approved by the electors of said district. 4, read this application and approve all statements and representations contained herein as true to the best knowledge and belief of the board. And 5, authorize the Secretary of the Board of Education to sign this preliminary application and submit same to the state treasurer for review and approval.
Do we have a second?
Support.
Okay, support by Brent. Discussion.
So in this application, you don't have the full application. It was quite the rigorous process that Tyler Pinkster put through. Though there will have signatures for the secretary, but they go, it's a 76, I believe, page packet that we have taken to the treasurers. We go step by step to talk through what the projects would look like, where they would be, approximate costs in there. We go through the bonding proposal of what that would be, what it would look like as far as a voting legislation or the voting language, which would be for $12,730,000 at the August election. And the way that it reads is erecting, furnishing, and equipping in addition to the high school building, remodeling, furnishing, and refurnishing, and equipping and re-equipping school buildings, acquiring, installing, equipping, and re-equipping the high school building for instruction technology, erecting, furnishing, and equipping an agriculture barn and a soccer field storage structure, purchasing school buses, and preparing, developing, and improving sites. So what this does is it goes through, they go by site location, so you have a site location considered here, the high school really they consider that all one campus, the high school, middle school, and the MAC campus all as one because it's all conjoining as one, and then you have early school as a separate campus. So within that, we went through all the things that we had talked about on looking to put forth. It was put into spreadsheets with approximate dollars to that. Obviously, some of those dollars are, like I'd said before, you need to have those pots open. So we put at least some dollars in those, until we really know the true building costs that will allow to see how far down we could get on the list of what we'd like to put within this bond. That will come as far as moving forward. we will start to gain committees, parent committees, staff committees, even some student committees around those work as what we see as most value to us in the district around the things that we put in these pots. What we are confident is that the dollars here would allow us to build the additional space at the gymnasium and the barn. In that, it will also, on current cost, allow us to really look at some auditorium possible updates and possibly some other athletic updates as far as whether it be the soccer complex, the baseball fields, or into the press box world. But there's not a lot of dollars in the $0 mill increase. We had some discussions, and I've had discussions with some of you as well, as looking at what an additional mill or half mill would be on that. I think that would give more than enough money, but I am quite hesitant in some of my conversations with you on passing such a thing when really our need is the additional space here within the high school gymnasium and the barn in that component. So overall, you're looking at the way that it was put in to registry as a full cost within the additional gymnasium and the site work and the dirt work and all those things. You're looking at almost over $10 million within that, within the additional dollars of the ag barn, and then it would scale down. But every area was given a price tag on that. We went through the treasury. She went through some of the questions. We actually had to look at enrollment projections. We had to look at each of the buildings just to make sure that this wasn't something that was thought to be too much or just a misuse spent of money. They went through that process and felt that it was fair. We've also worked with Troon, and they have the legal side of it as far as the bond or the language for the actual vote in August. The meeting consisted of myself, Stacy Brown, Matt Slagle with Tower Pinkster, Brad Van Bergen and Jared Mott with Winberg Construction, and then along with the treasurer and PFM, which is our financial advisor there, JR with PFM, and then the Treasury Department on the phone call as well.
So do we need to vote on these contractors that are listed here? Tower Pinkster, Winberg, or is this just?
No, that is who is being used within that list. This is the vote is to approve that this language would go towards a August vote. Any other discussion or questions that you may have?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 is a motion to move into closed session and roll call.
Do I need it? Someone to make a motion
So
first?
moved.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Motion,
Moved by Scott, support by Tom. Dr. Unger?
yes.
Mr. Moreau?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl? Mr. Johnson? Mrs. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. Beishausen?
Yes.
Mr. Rath?
Yes.
If there are any students present, we can sign your sheets at this time if you'd like.
Oh, what the heck?
Thank you.
No, I didn't break. I got a bunch of signing to do.
What are you doing today? Get to the gym working out? Yeah.